Welcome everybody to the big one. This is the first flight of a series where we are taking this incredibly gorgeous, detailed, best GA aircraft ever made for X-Plane, the Hot Start TBM900, all the way from the UK. And at the moment we are in Sumburgh. This is where we're going to be taking off from, all the way to Washington, so we can explore the True Earth series there, which will be pretty damn spectacular. Now this, I've been meaning to do this flight for quite some time, but I've just got to get going with it really, because what I've done is I haven't really done much to my TBM. I've basically changed the oil. The right brake pad had some wear, so I've changed the brake pad so it's brand new, and that's pretty much it really. This particular model has got quite a few hours on it now from many of my VR shenanigans, so yeah, this is going to be quite an experience. So we'll probably do this in a few parts, because there's no way I'm going to be flying this in one session to the US. In fact, the plan is we have used Little Nav Map for our flight planning software, which I really highly recommend, and we're going to bring that up now actually. So first of all though, before actually we do that, we need to make sure that we brim the tanks. So payload manager, here we go. Right, so we definitely want, probably, oops, very rare I've actually filled this up to the top. But the way we're going to route is we're going to go via the Faroe Islands, which is going to be our first leg today, which is about 300 odd nautical miles away. And then from the Faroe Islands we're going to be heading to Iceland. Now I do have some very nice ortho scenery for most of this flight, particularly Iceland, the Faroes and most of the US, so it should be a pretty spectacular series to enjoy. So that's that done. We have already done our maintenance check, and the maintenance guys signed this aircraft off. In fact, I'll just show you, it's not completely new. Let's have a look. Maintenance manager. You see, I've spent a fair bit of money on this already, and I've broken engine when I first started using it. Actually, it's quite scary actually when you break an engine in this, particularly if you get a hot start. And you know, it's all modelled. I mean, check this out, guys. Every part of the engine is modelled. And you can see here our bearings are in good condition, turbines in good, combustion, igniters, all of this sort of stuff. It's not in excellent condition, it's just good. I've changed the oil because we definitely needed to do that because it was looking a bit brown. One thing I have made sure of as well is our oxygen is all in order, because we're going to need that, because we're going to be going up pretty high, that's for sure. In fact, to the surface ceiling of this aircraft. So with that all said, without further ado, I'm quite excited about this. I've been wanting to do this flight for ages. I like to, I don't know how, I mean everyone, you know, uses their flight sim differently, but for me, generally speaking, I like to pick up my next flight from where I left off, you know, because it feels realistic. I actually want to fly to every destination, because that's the whole point really for me of flying in a simulator, making it as realistic as possible, is to fly to each destination. So say if I wanted to go to the south of France, then I would fly from here, you know. That's the way I like to do it. Not always, but so
okay.
We have been making our way up to Sumburgh. In fact, we actually flew here in the Falcon 50. I'm not sure if that video will be up before this one. It might be a while before I actually get this up. And talking about that, actually, about timings and things, the TBM is due a really big update soon, which is going to even improve it even more. I didn't even think that was possible, but they're going to improve the aerodynamics even more, the stall characteristics. There's going to be quite a lot of different, I wouldn't say bug fixes, because it's pretty sorted, this aircraft. But yeah, anything to make this aircraft even more amazing. I'm totally up for. So we need to get our flight plan, and hopefully I've got it in here somewhere. There it is. So we'll enter that. Don't worry about that, that's fine. My nav data is out of date. I keep meaning to update it and I haven't yet. So that's our flight we're going to be doing today. It's going to be pretty scary because most of this flight is going to be over the ocean. So if we get an engine failure, we get any problems, we're going to have to deal with them there and then. As I say, and that is the reason why I'm using such a immensely detailed aircraft. Because if I used a Carinada aircraft, you know, just to get there a bit quicker, hello Colin, Colin's just woofing to say hello, then I don't know, the reward factor isn't there, is it? Because a Carinada aircraft, I mean, some of them do actually simulate types of engine failure, but not that well. We want to be doing this properly. Now, also we want to be getting our Avitab up and going and getting our flight plan all loaded in as well, so we can see it on Avitab, which I absolutely adore this feature. Now, to be able to do this, if you use the little nav map plugin, and once you've sorted your flight plan, if you go on the left hand side, it will say save into Avitab, and it will save basically a picture of your flight, and then it's then displayed on Avitab, and your aircraft will be displayed, and you'll be able to see here lots of really important information like our top of climb, top of descent, and our approach into Echo Kilo Victor Golf, which I think is Varga or Vega. No doubt I'm pronouncing that wrong. I really am actually quite excited because this has been on the cards for such a long time. Probably a good couple of months I've been meaning to do this flight. So this is it. First of all, make sure that we've got our parking brake set. This aircraft is nothing short of a work of art, it really is. There's just no better aircraft out there for GA. It's in a complete league of its own. And I don't say that lightly. Right, our ignitions are coming on. We're going to put our fuel pump, auxiliary fuel pump on. That's our notification there. Checking everything's fine. We are going to engage start. And I really hope that we get a good start. Okay, so we're going to introduce some fuel. We could do this, the engine sounds are very quiet, so we'll sort that out in a minute. That's looking good. ITT is rising nicely. Looking for that NG to go green. 50%, we're now engage. Throttle, and we're going to put it into high idle. Excellent stuff. And actually, while I'm at it, people often ask me what are my X-plane settings. So now is a good time to show you. I'll just make sure this starts okay, because I'm going to have to just change the sound. Right, so we'll just go into here a minute. These are my settings that I use most of the time. Objects on maximum reflection detail. There is no benefit of having that maxed out apart from awful frame rate, so I keep that minimum. Now texture quality is an interesting one. I mean, look at how many textures I've loaded here. 12 gigs, and my graphics card is 11 gig, and that's down to Orbex unfortunately, and their fairly unoptimized way of doing things in terms of their textures, and it might be, you know, obviously the constraints of X-plane as well. So sometimes I will put it down to high, but that will affect the textures of the ortho. So generally speaking, I will put it on maximum, and when Vulcan gets here, I don't think that will be much of a problem. I think that area in particular will be a huge improvement regardless of frame rate, because that sort of thing will be on a separate core. So there you are, guys, that's my settings. They do, you know, generally tend to change. I don't always keep them the same, but I do most of the time, but like say in London for instance, if I was in London and my frame rate was a bit low, the first thing I'd do is take this down, and often that can help. Right, anyway, ignore that. There we go, I've got a bit more sound now, so we'll continue with our startup. Auxiliary on auto. Ignition, we can put that to auto. The generator on. We definitely need our nav lights on, and our taxi light on. Like a bit of nice lighting here as well. We'll put our fuel selector switch on and our AP trims to on. Looking good, and we'll come down here. Actually we need our inertial separator on, that could be coming on while we're doing the rest of our checks. Just a stunning aircraft, I love it so much. Goodness knows how many hours I have in this bird. Okay, so we're putting our bleed air on, air condition needs to come on. Our pitot heats need to be on as well. So used to this bird now, the startup process is just so swift and easy. Even if I don't do it in the right order, it's I know what I'm doing with this aircraft now. So he says, I shouldn't be saying things like that, should I, when I'm going to be going across the open seas. I really shouldn't be saying that. And that's our inertial separator light coming on. Right, so we do need to get our ATIS information. And we have information for our... Let's have a look, see if we can find... right, we don't... Oh, we do! 12585. Got a bit of rain here. Surprise, surprise.
Sumburgh information lead.
I'm recording.
1100 Zulu.
Put our headphones in now.
Wind 060 at 10. Visibility more than 10. Rain. Sky conditions 900 few. 2,900 scattered, 5,900 broken, temperature 8, dew point 6. Altimeter 2935.
2935.
Arriving runways 15, 06, 09. Departing runways 33, 24,
33. We'll put that in the heading
Advise
indicator.
on initial contact, you have Lima.
We have Lima. And actually while we're at it, we'll put in our tower frequency. Now we have live traffic activated.
Sumburgh information Lima.
I don't think I'll fly without it now, to be honest. It's one of those game-changing things.
At 10. Visibility more than 10. Rain.
25.
Sky conditions 900 few. 2,900 scattered. 5,900 broken. Temperature 8.
Okay, now Sumburgh, as you can probably see, is not default. As I say, this is an Orbex airport. It is absolutely beautiful, and it extends. This is one of the Orbex airports that actually are good value for money, because you get a lot of surrounding detail. Like there's a nice church and the stone walls, and there's quite a lot of different points of interest, as well as quite a large, very, very high zoom level 18 area surrounding it. So that's probably why our textures are so full. So we'll just review our flight here. So we're going to be using the airway G11, and we're right. So I have put this in for 22,000 feet. So what I'll do is actually we'll clear our sails right up to 22,000 feet straight away, I think. We won't mess around too much. So put that in there. Great stuff. I think we're about ready, guys, for taxi. Just a quick sip of coffee. You know, it's funny, with all the things I've invested in with VR, one thing I haven't invested in, and that is a straw. So I'll often make a coffee, only to realise that I can't really drink it very well because I'm in VR, of course. So I end up kind of just sipping it every now and then, and suddenly it's cold, because when you're in VR, time just disappears. So yeah, I do need a straw. Okay, our runway, just making sure we are going the right way here. Yep. Now, the eagle-eyed viewers may realise that everyone on the island of Sumburgh is actually drunk, and they've basically seen the new Flight Simulator trailer, and they've gone crazy. And you can see here they are driving backwards. Yeah. And that's all I'll say on that one. Now, one thing I am looking forward to showing you guys soon is a bit of IL-2 in VR. That's another new sim that I'd like to show. So much cool stuff going on. And again, that simulator has been out for a while, but I'm just kind of getting up to speed with some of these new flight simulators. Right, so we are clear. Can you see there? Look at that. Beautiful view there. And we'll line up. This is quite a moment, this is, really, because we are leaving the UK. And I love the UK, I love flying in the UK. And I probably will cheat a bit. Well, I'm expecting to be in the US for quite a long time, a very long time in fact. So I will be flying in both the UK and the US, so I won't be doing sort of quite the realistic kind of going from one place to another as I usually do. Right, so our landing lights are on. Everything is looking good. Paranoid we're not recording, but we are. I think we are ready to go. Okay, and actually we're going to be heading straight out, so that's going to be very useful. Very useful indeed. Right, okay, let's get going, guys. Okay, power is stabilised. We are now going for takeoff power. We're just doing a rolling start. Got plenty of runway here. Takeoff power is set. 90 knots. Rotate. Oh god. Wow. Okay, that was a bit weird. The weather has just refreshed just as we've taken off. Obviously a storm front has just come in. I cannot wait for those horrible refreshes to be at an end when the new sim comes out. But anyway, that was quite a dramatic takeoff. It's gone very dark in the cockpit now. Lots and lots of rain here. Okay, so what we'll do is 140 knots, autopilot on, FLC mode on, and nav mode. We'll climb her at 140 knots. Now, Steve-O, actually, a YouTuber that flies a real TBM, tends to climb at about 135 knots or so, which gives you a fantastic rate of climb. But let's just go outside and see our last look at old Blighty. It makes it easier to leave the UK when it's so awful at the moment with the weather. It's just pretty awful. You can see the moon there as well. That looks spectacular. So we are on our way, and now we're getting out of the clag, and the sun's starting to shine down on us. I love that feeling, you know, when you're climbing up, you know, into the cloud, into that horrible soup. And then as you get out of the cloud you start to feel the sunshine in the canopy. That's just like real life, that is, and it's done very well. So inertial separator can come off. We'll have to watch our torque like a hawk, and landing light can come off as well. Now we will just tune into sort of the main controller, shall we say. We won't be using X-Plane's ATC system for this, but we can check out what's going on here. We've got our active sky tuned in on COM 2, and we could even, if we want to, put in our ATIS for our destination. 1202. Oh, bugger. See what I mean? You've really got to keep your eye on this bird. I don't want to be overstressing that engine when we're going to be using this engine now. That's it, we are committed. And I wouldn't imagine there's many TBM mechanics where we are going to be going. I'll put that in the wrong one. Actually, no, that's fine. We'll put that in there, and then maybe we can put tower 12485 into COM 2, and then that's us done then. It still astonishes me how, particularly in the G1000, where the text is so tiny that I can read those little numbers totally fine. Now, because obviously there is a bit of the sweet spot in the reverb is probably one of its weakest areas. It's not the best. It's not terrible like some people think, but and I think that is, it all depends on your IPD. But it does mean that if you really want to look, you know, at an area in the full detail, you need to move your head around. Like I can, if I just look forward and look around, I can see all the gauges fine. I can read all of them fine. Or even over here, I can see that's 32 minutes we got there, so that's fine, no problem. But if I really want to zoom in properly, I'll just move my head, get into that sweet spot, and then it's completely sharp. That's worth bearing in mind, guys. Colour of that beautiful sea. We are climbing nicely here. I can probably add a bit more power in now, and it's goodbye to old Blighty. Clouds are looking exceptional. I remember once when I went for a flight, I looked out my wing and thought, what the hell, and my fuel cap was actually still open. I hadn't closed it properly and I was leaking fuel. Yep, that's the kind of detail. You have to do things properly in this aircraft. And if you buy one GA aircraft for X-Plane and you want a proper study level style experience, look no further than the TBM. Welcome back, guys. We are doing really well. Really relaxing flight this. You can't beat just sitting back in the TBM and just enjoying watching the world go by, or in this case the sea. I hope you have packed a life jacket, guys. I did forget to ask you, but I'm hoping in the back there you have got a life jacket and a rubber dinghy or something. But I think we'll be okay. I trust the TBM. I think we're going to be okay, and I've just set up the VNAV to be at our destination for around about 2,000 feet. So our top of descent is coming up in about 4 minutes time, which is about pretty much spot on with what Avitab and little nav map is going to tell us as well, so that's great. Everything's looking pretty good. So you're certainly in for a treat, guys, when we start descending into the Faroe Islands, because wow, just the scenery there is just spectacular. It's like nothing else, really, particularly around this area of the world. Anyway, it's like right out of some sort of crazy Indiana Jones film or something. Some very nice colour here. The sea is looking quite sort of like a turquoisey and green colour here. So I wonder if we can actually pick up the ATIS at this point. We can certainly try. Not quite yet, but we will be in range very soon. One minute 20 for our descent, and that is actually perfect. That is corresponding correctly with our Avitab display there. Right, well, I've missed that ATIS call because Monty decided to woof his head off, so we'll try that again.
1100 Zulu weather. Wind 020.
Problems normal pilots don't have.
More than 10. Sky conditions 3300 broken. Temperature 4. Dew point -1.
Okay.
Altimeter 2971.
2971.
Arriving runway 30. Departing runway 12. Advise on initial contact. You have mic.
Okay, I think a visual approach here will be fine. Just look at these gorgeous mountains going by. What a place! I mean, who would live here? I guess people do, but
information mic. 1100 Zulu weather.
Alright, we'll have one more listen to the ATIS.
020 at 8. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions.
Keep an eye on that talk. Could almost be the new Microsoft Flight Sim. Almost. Okay, we are going to put our inertial separator on even though we're a little bit high up. Not high up. Pretty quick. I've done that many times in this aircraft and never had a problem, so we'll do that because we do need to slow down a bit. Oh yeah, that's looking really, really spectacular. Very, very nice indeed. What a wilderness. That is our inertial separator coming on. Now we're going to be making a bit of a U-turn as such on our flight plan. But I don't know, I mean, I probably should do this properly and land on the correct runway for the wind direction. I'm not quite sure because I haven't done my homework. Let's have a look. That looks like a pretty decent runway there. So we'll probably go visual in a second. We just need to really slow down here. Yeah, I think we'll go visual, and I think we'll take the autopilot off at this stage. So I'm going to have hands on. And we're going to make our way left downwind. I love how I like the controls. They feel really heavy because I'm going so fast. It's just the little details like that that just make this aircraft completely in a world, a whole level on its own. I think the airport rather, is 2,000 feet. So we need to factor that in. But I actually did a tour around here and Iceland in the Coronado Caravan in the CV1, and I flew it's crazy really, but I flew from London right to the top of Scotland in Wick, and then from Wick to the Faroes, and then Faroes to Iceland to Reykjavik, and did a tour, and then flew all the way back again, and that was in the CV1. So just goes to show you the CV1, you know, I have fond memories of that headset, and it's still a fantastic headset, of course. But it's nice to be in a proper, almost Gen 2 headset, particularly for the display anyway. It makes such a difference. Particularly to stamina, you know, I can be in this headset for a lot longer periods, no problem. And anyway, let's just check we're recording still. Yes, we are. Kind of annoying if he wasn't. And we need to be looking out for this airport here. I'm just basically bleeding off some speed and altitude here. Oh yeah, this is spectacular. Very, very nice. Bit of a weird mesh thing going on there. Texture. In fact, I think that's default X-plane coming through, I think. I don't know. But this is just... And this is all freeware as well, guys. This is just scenery that I've downloaded. Cannot remember. I think it might be Bing Maps, this one, actually, because it was quite a long time ago. Probably a couple of years ago, in fact. Now, this is one area I'd imagine you wouldn't need to download regularly because the scenery isn't going to change that much. Being completely out in the sticks. Okay, we're just going to turn around a bit more there. I still don't have a visual on the airport because, well, for instance, it would help if I zoomed in to get the bearings a bit better. Okay, so we're over there somewhere. In fact, I've just seen it there. Okay. Oh, in the nick of time as well, because we are now under a layer of cloud. Wonder if I'll ever ride my bike on that road. Probably not. I'm not sure if I'll ever make it to the Faroe Islands. Okay, so we're going to set up now for a bit of a base leg and final leg here. Get rid of that out of the way. I'm going to put in my trim, and that will just wake it up a bit. We're hands on, guys. Our first leg. And we really need to dump some flaps in here. We're a bit fast and we're a bit high. I've just remembered I haven't got my contours on, so we might, hopefully, won't run into too many problems with the runway slope. I have dumped the flaps out a little bit soon there, so I'll have to check. See, look at the zoom level there. It's pretty high. I'm all over the place here. Got a bit of a wind. We've actually got a 17 knot crosswind, just to keep us honest. So as you can see here, and you kind of naturally compensate for that, even without realising it in VR, you kind of naturally compensate for that wind, because you really feel the wind. It's hard to explain, hard to kind of describe it. That's a pretty damn big runway, I'm pleased to say. So we should be okay. On the glide path. Bit more trim. Imagine landing here in real life. That'll be pretty spectacular. Crabbing in here. Boot full of left rudder. And we are down. That was a pretty decent landing, I'm happy with that. Don't think we're even going to need our reverses actually. Won't put any unnecessary drain on the engine. It's 60 knots. We'll just start using our tapping our brakes. Got to be careful because you can overcook the brakes very easily. In fact, yes, all that stuff is modelled. But we have got brand new brake pads, so we should be okay. Okay, flaps up. Welcome to the Faroe Islands, to Vega or Varga, or however you pronounce it. Welcome guys, our first leg is complete. And thankfully fairly uneventful. So where we're going to park, that's the next question. Got a FedEx there. Oh, careful. Over-talk the prop there, good and proper. I think here's a decent place. So we'll just do a bit of a... yeah, we'll park here, look. That's perfect. And as I said at the beginning of this video, I'm in desperate need of a straw. I've only just remembered that I did make myself a coffee and it's probably gone stone cold now, so if anybody would like to donate a straw to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. Right, fantastic. Pitot heats off, initial separator can come off. AP trims can come off, fuel selector, lots of beeping going on here. I will be looking after this aircraft as best I can, because if I look after this aircraft, it will look after me, particularly over those scary ocean crossings. That's fine, leave all that off, brilliant, cool. Time to get a cup of coffee. And I'll see you guys in part 2, where we'll be heading to Iceland. Take care. I'll see you soon.